Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at recruiting and consulting firm Riderflex. If you think today's tip or guest interview can help someone you know, please share this with them. And if you enjoy listening to our show, please subscribe to our channel and hit the like button on the episodes. Finally, aside from our podcast, our day job here at Riderflex is to provide recruiting, staffing, and consulting services. You can visit riderflex.com to learn more about us and get the information on the services we provide. And now, a quick word from our sponsor and friends at Marketing 360.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
I know this is Brandon Ford's second visit to the Riderflex podcast, which I'm honored to have him back on. Love his story. By the way, for the listeners, in case you didn't catch his first interview, I'd go back and listen to the first one. We probably won't touch on as much early personal life on this visit, but the first one, just everything he did from grinding when he was in high school to get into Columbia, and then went into the Marines, then went to Columbia, and then went to law school and busting ass all the way through it. And didn't come from no trust fund family, no trust fund baby, just kicked ass. Then went out to Colorado and worked in hotels, and just it's a great early inspirational story on how you got through some of your early accomplishments in life. So for the listeners, go back and listen to Brandon Ford visit #1 to catch up on some of that personal stuff. But give us the update on TripHero, man. Tell me, on the last we talked, I think about a year ago, something like that.
It was before COVID. It was right before COVID.
Right before COVID, right? And I remember, several guests we had on the show were more effective than others, and I remember thinking about you, like, holy shit, okay, well, what's he doing? That's got to be crushing him. So, give us an update, Brandon. Tell us how the business is doing now, and then we'll also roll into how you got through COVID. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so business right now is doing great. We're in the middle of a big expansion to several more ski resorts. We're doing a big expansion into Aspen, possibly Scottsdale. So working on that, and like I said, we're so COVID obviously hit, and it was scary for us because we're in the travel business, right? We require people traveling.
Yes.
But it's going to end up probably long term. Obviously, short term it was tough, but long term it's probably going to be one of the best things that ever happened to us.
Really?
Yeah, the travel market has changed. People are more, as they travel, looking for convenience. Not looking to be in the airport long, not looking to be in long lines. Planning their trips, for longer. Planning them further ahead and for longer periods. So they're bringing more stuff. So a lot of the trends are going to be great for us long term. As far as partner side, the B2C side, that side's exploding. The hotels are having trouble with getting back to full staff. They're still not bringing in all the revenue that they used to be with the big groups and things like that. So they're looking for ways to cut costs. And for the hotel, we can save them a lot of money and save them employee time. So it's a win-win for them. And they are interested as well in providing more convenience to their potential guests. So this is going to be really good for us long-term.
Are you already, so for 2021, will 2021 beat 2019 revenues for you?
2021 will be about even.
To 2019.
To 2019, yep. But we got back, as far as the ski seasons go, because we're still highly concentrated in ski areas. By March of last year, we were back to pre-COVID levels.
Oh, you were? Okay. All right.
Yeah. And we think this year is going to actually, we do our years about kind of 21, 22, kind of the ski season years. So we think this is going to be a bump. It's going to be back actually a little bit above than what it was.
Congratulations, and congratulations on making it through COVID, especially being in the shipping hospitality business. What was that like for you, my friend, when they started shutting down stuff? And walk us through some of those fun evenings.
Yeah, it was really interesting. You know, we were lucky because we're headquartered in Vail, Beaver Creek area, and Vail was actually hit hard really early. So there was a big outbreak during the Burton U.S. Open, which is a big snowboarding event every year in Vail that occurs in late February.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking, you know, second, third week of February, the numbers in Vail started skyrocketing. I think it was a couple weeks after those first cases in Seattle, but we were only a couple weeks past there. So we saw the writing on the wall by the end of February. We shut our operations down March 6th, so a week before the national shutdown. So we were able to get ahead of it. We saw the writing on the wall. We saw the cases exploding in Vail, and we saw just the panic occurring throughout the travel industry. And, you know, that was a tight period, and obviously really scary. I mean, it's, you know, who knew what was going to happen. A lot of stuff was still up in the air back then as far as how it spread, and, you know, the distances, and whether or not to wear a mask, or whether to wear a mask, and things like that. So it was, you know, every couple hours the story was changing, right? But we went, like most businesses, we went into preserve assets, preserve cash mode. And by starting early, you know, the first week of March, we were able to not really lose much. You know, unfortunately, we were quick in communicating with our employees. It didn't hit them too bad because, you know, their season's up anyway at the end of March, so it's kind of like a month buffer for them. So we paid them a severance to put them into what their period of time would have been anyway.
I see.
And we were able to get ahead of that, and then basically for, you know, the spring and occurred, you know, May and late April is our off season anyway. So during them, we were basically just crossing our fingers and trying to come up with a plan. But we're able to preserve cash pretty well, and then, you know, the government programs with PPP and stuff were able to keep people. We got people back. You know, I think it was the 28th of May, so Memorial Weekend. We brought it, you know, the full-time people back with the PPP money. We're able to keep those people employed, et cetera. We had some people, we had quite a few people, and that's probably what's happening with you in the recruiting businesses. We had some people make life-changing decisions. My co-founder decided to leave. She wanted to spend more time with her kids, and another person that was the third person on decided to leave because he wanted to spend more time with his family, traveling back and forth between Michigan and Florida and stuff. So we had a lot of turnover in that people, you know, a lot of people moved from the mountains back home to be closer to their family. We had several people move back to, like, one person moved back to Michigan, one person moved back to Minnesota, et cetera. So I think it was a time for people to think a lot about what they wanted to do with their lives, you know, really refocus on what was important.
Was there any moments where you thought, okay, it's over, this is not going to work, hospitality is not going to come back, I got to find something else to do? Or you know, were there any scary moments like that where you're talking to your wife thinking, holy shit, this could be it?
No, I'm lucky there. I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, that, like, from how I grew up and what I've, you know, the challenges I've had in the past, like, it was, in perspective, it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, you know, so that was, I'm really thankful for having those past experiences this year more than any year in my life, really, because you know, I knew it wasn't going to be the end of the world. No matter what happened, I was going to figure out a way to get through it. I knew the problem still existed, and I anticipated the problem was going to be even worse. And like I said, as soon as the first reopening happened in summer of 2020, hotels started reaching out to us even more. So it made me reaffirmed my commitment to the idea, and, you know, the doubts and stuff really did come in. And I got to give credit, a lot of that, to a team of investors, particularly a team of investors that, you know, really dug in. Ian Widmer from Progression Brands Group, Pat McElvain, formerly of Oakley, Danny Clayton, formerly of 𝐂𝐬𝐳𝐿, Bob Anderson, formerly of Honeywell and Greenfield Ventures. these guys were basically calling me up like, Brandon, let's huddle every week. Let's look for opportunities here, and every challenge becomes an opportunity. So we really, with their mentorship and their guidance, we were able to really refocus and we kind of internally branded it as this gives us the opportunity of coming out with TripHero 2.0. You know, when you're a 3-year-old company and you're growing, doubling and tripling every year, you're kind of playing catch up. And, you know, these couple months of downtime gave us time to catch up. So it was, in a way, you know, we were able to use it in an effective way.
Your ability to network and meet the right people, investors, people with knowledge, experience, people with cash, your ability to do that really just blew me away. I listened to our first interview this morning, you know, getting ready, spending some time getting ready for work this morning on the treadmill. I listened to our first interview and I thought, man, he went out to Vail, didn't know a soul. And next thing you know, he's starting up conversations and networking with people that can give him advice and help him and write checks for investments. That's wonderful. Your ability to network is a key learning piece for anybody listening. Your hustle and your networking ability is top notch, my friend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Come by it honestly. Again, like growing up, moving around a lot, going to different schools, moving from different cities, etc. That you know, you have to, like, you're gonna in a new class and you know, with knowing no one, and you know, you got to make friends and you got to learn how to be comfortable in different situations. So I'm proud. I'm happy for that. You know, one of the things I pride myself on is I can talk to anyone. I can go, you know, somewhere in the middle of downtown city and, you know, talk to someone on the street, and then go into a boardroom and talk to the same people. You know,
I can see you doing that. You could go to a blue collar, pretty hardcore bar and grill and have a conversation with a guy, no problem, and then go right over to a white tie dinner down in Cherry Creek. You could do both of them pretty easily. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, and I purposely do that. Like when I travel, I purposely try to go to local places and, you know, talk to the local people, whether it's Vernal, Utah, or you know, Taos, New Mexico, or, you know, an Indian reservation that I'm driving through. Like, but that's something that I had mentors from when I was young to challenge me to do that kind of stuff, and that's definitely something that's I'm happy to have that ability, because you learn so much, and, you know, just going with curiosity and being yourself. That's the key, right? You know, I don't try to dress up to go into a bar in Vernal. I just dress how I'm dressed, and take me as I am. You know.
You know, you're probably even better at that than me. I was in Vail. I consider myself a pretty good people person, but I'm thinking you're a notch above me. I was in Vail recently. I should have called to see if you were there. We were there to see the comedian Sebastian Maniscalco was in Vail.
Nice.
We came up to see him. We didn't stay the night, but we were there. We did come up early enough to have dinner before the show. Buddy, I forgot how many wealthy people live there. When I went to dinner, when Kim and I went to dinner, and we were at a restaurant, and I told Kim, I'm like, wow, I don't know. I feel like I'm out of place here a little bit. I got to get back down with my people.
You're right up there with them. You're an entrepreneur. Most of the people in Vail. That's what's great about it. And a lot of these mountain towns is like, you know, these people mostly. We're not talking trust too. I mean, that happens, like where people, you know, haven't worked their lives and stuff, but you get some great inspiring stories of people starting from nothing and creating great companies.
It's great to be around people like that, isn't it? There's just so many things you can learn. They talk about all the trials and tribulations and everything they went through. Did you guys raise any more cash? Have you had another round, or where are you raising now, or where are you at with cash raise?
So we had an internal round from existing investors last year that you know, to get us through the, you know, uncertain times. But, you know, we're still working on doing another round. But, you know, that's a kind of the big update. Is part of, you know, I was down there as part of COVID. I was in the hotels delivering packages. I was driving the truck. Everybody on my team, including my wife and daughter, got COVID. I'm the only person that didn't get it. I had over 11 tests. never had it, was exposed many, many times,
Right.
and got tested and stuff. And luckily we were really early on getting the vaccine. So, but that time gave me the opportunity to do jobs I hadn't done in a couple years. So I was delivering bags, I was talking to the GMs, I was talking to the front desk manager, I was talking to the teams at the hotels, and most importantly, the customers. And, we had a lot of smaller hotels reach out to us because they were having the same problems. People last summer, people were coming and they were booking for a month to stay in Vail or Aspen.
I see.
And they were staying at a hotel for a month. They were getting away from the cities.
I
and
see.
They were shipping, Amazon and wine.com and Chewy and all this stuff. And I realized with all these smaller locations, smaller properties, like a 30-room hotel, boutique hotels and stuff, are reaching out to us. So it helped me formulate our product even more than it's ever been. So we're creating a TripHero platform that's going to allow any hotel to use us. It's going to allow any hotel to we're going to give our software to them for free. It's just they become a software partner with us. But our software will help them manage their shipping and receiving. Anything that goes out, they'll be able to use our platform to ship out. Anything that's coming in, they'll be able to scan, track, and have insurance on all those items. So that's the biggest thing. Me being on the ground for those, basically almost a year, allowed me to see the problem in a refined way, to offer a complete solution to different size properties and different size resorts. Like I said, going to Scottsdale soon.
Is that your revenue stream? Do you make more top line sales from hotels or more from the consumer, or direct to consumer?
Not even now. Pretty close. Yeah.
Really. So that's about 50-50. And are you going to build the software as a SaaS service, and that's going to be an additional fee? What's your plan there?
Yep. So it'll be a SaaS service. Any hotel that wants to use it, we'll partner with them, allow them to use the software. It will get them, great rates on their shipping. It will provide them ways to track and scan every package that comes in. I went to some big resorts. I won't name any names, but world-class resorts, top 5 ski resorts, and they were still writing their stuff down when it came in, right? And obviously that takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of labor. So digitizing that process for them is going to be super for them as far as savings labor, as far as saving money, and as far as providing a better customer experience. And then what it does for us, and it gives us access to be able to be present when their customer is experiencing the pain point of carrying their goods or shipping their items to and from a resort. And we get plugged right into that pain point. And rather than, trying to guess on whether somebody will click our ad on Facebook, we're right there, and you get a person in your TripHero shirt, and they're, "Can I help you, Mr. Smith? Let's ship this back for you."
Now you're a SaaS company. You didn't know you were going to be a tech company, did you?
Yeah. Now we're going to be a SaaS company. That's going to be exciting. And that's why we've been holding off on fundraising, because obviously the valuations and things change. We're doing the last couple months of sprints on the software right now. But it's going to be really, really fun. And, we're not going to get rid of the boots on the ground side of the business either, because I never want to become a pure SaaS company. I want to keep the defensibility of having the relationships in the resorts, keeping the defensibility of having people on the ground to do those high-level customer service, but also be able to have a wider footprint.
What a great move. I mean, so we're both, right, as a recruiting firm, we're basically a service. We're a service business, right, just like you were. And people often, I'll meet with our advisory board members and folks, and they'll say, "Well, you need a tech play. You need a tech play. What's your tech play? What's your tech play?" I always get that, right? And what are you going to do with your database? And how can you make it a tech play for investors and an exit? And I always say, "Look, man, I don't know. We're busy displacing candidates right now. I don't know what our tech play is." But here you are now. You took a service business that's already got value and traction, and now you put the tech play in it. That could be a big time exit for Brandon down the road here, my friend.
Yeah, We'll take that as it comes. Right now, just focus on getting the product and, solving the problem, right? And we think if the problem's big enough, right? There's over 700,000 hotels in the world. If we can fix that problem, and the shipping problem, people are going to ship more and more, as happened during COVID. People ship more and more. But we feel good about being right on the forefront of that trend and having a niche that's small enough that's not small, but small enough for us, our team to address, and it's not on the radar of any of the big guys, because it's like it's just like found a perfect niche, but it's not small. Great problem to solve, to be able to solve, and it's going to take some time and work to solve it, and so that's what we're excited about that. And everything else will fall into place if we solve the problems. That's the major advice to any entrepreneur I always give is like, hey, you fix the problem, like everything else will fall into place. Just make sure.
Isn't that true? It's great that you dove down to 1,000 feet, from 30,000 feet to get into the weeds and drive the trucks and deliver the packages. That same thing happens to me. It's interesting, as Riderflex has grown and our recruiting firm's gotten bigger, because when we first started, I was doing all the recruiting myself, right? And now I just do oversight. I don't handle hardly any of the searches personally myself, but there are times where something will happen where I need to do a search or be involved. And every time I dive down to 1,000 feet and do a search and get into the applicant tracking system and get involved in the weeds, every time I go, oh, okay, I didn't know that was doing that. Okay, here's a process that needs to be changed. Okay, yeah, that's not good. Let's fix that. So it's good, right? It's great for a CEO to do that. I think more CEOs need to do that. And you learn so much. So that's great that you're able to do that. How many employees do you mind sharing? I don't know if you want to share how big you are employee wise, or give us an idea.
Yes, we got like about 12 full-time year-round.
Okay.
We ramp up based upon each resort's timeline. So before COVID, we were like 36. We probably won't get back there quite yet, but
okay.
Probably about. I think we're anticipating around 25 total.
Do you have to open up offices if you expand into these other cities and these other resorts? Does that mean you have to have, quote, an office there, or you just have employees that are based there? What's your plan?
No, so we actually work through the hotel that we're partnered with.
Oh, I see. Okay, great. Is that weird? Like, what if you have an employee that works out of a hotel? They're not really the employee of the hotel manager, but what if you got an employee and I don't know, he gets in an argument with Sally at the desk about something, and then, the hotel manager is kind of telling your employee what to do. Does that ever happen? Any messes like that? I'm just curious.
We're anticipating that will happen at some point, but not yet. Right now it's been pretty tight knit. We'll be able to, we don't have a recruiting machine yet to fill those big hotels. As we get more people, there'll be more, challenges as far as individuals. Luckily, we haven't had that yet, but we've got plans in place. And the key, again, and this is where we want to keep kind of the TripHero culture, is to keep those relationships and communications with our hotel and resort partners, clear and frequent. And we want to know that we're thinking that we want them to know that we're thinking of them, that we're trying to reach out, and hopefully that will curb a lot of the problems if we have if anything like that ever came up.
Because your employees are in their building all the time, right? I mean, basically.
Yeah. We try to make it so that you can't really even tell as much as, it's a seamless experience for the guest. They don't necessarily know. They see the TripHero shirt and they see the TripHero box, but they don't necessarily know that that's not, that person doesn't work with the hotel and for the hotel.
I see. Are you getting? Yeah.
For the hotel, it's important to have, because how hotels are, especially when most of them are understaffed, like that shipping and receiving person a lot of times gets pulled into other areas like housekeeping or driving or anything. But having that, since they're a TripHero employee, they can't get pulled into other directions. So it allows them to focus. That's an important piece that we provide, is that little bit of separation is enough to keep that task the focus of that employee versus
Mhm.
if you're a hotel employee, you're fixing whatever problem comes up.
Gotcha. You mentioned earlier you had a co-founder that departed. So how many? You still got one co-founder involved? You and one of the.
So there was three of us at the beginning. Two co-founders. We kind of started the idea before any revenue and stuff, and then a couple other ones came on. And now through a result of mostly a lot of Bethany, who was the co-founder. She had a couple daughters, and she lives up outside of Steamboat, and her husband is a rancher. So that became hard with daycare and all that stuff. So she decided to, step aside, and still involved with. We have questions, and she's an expert in customer service, things like that. But day to day, she's not running operations anymore.
And Brandon is in charge. Brandon's running the company. Who's your second in command? Like who's if Brandon's on vacation, who's in charge?
Grant Register. Grant, I've known for a long time. He started out last year. So, in 19. So 2 years ago, now, right before COVID, so he came up, he was running initially just Utah for us. And then he's now he's heading operations for us.
I see. Okay, good. And you knew him from your past?
Yeah, he worked at Vail Resorts as well. And I knew him through there.
Okay, great. All right, sounds good. And what about all these investors? Now, I'm assuming you don't have, I don't know how much of this you want to share. If you want to pass on this question, totally understand. I'm assuming you don't have control of the cap table yourself. I'm assuming that you could technically be outvoted at this point based on all the investment. Is that accurate or no?
No, I still have pretty much control at this point.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So all the investors
not much longer, but
keep control as long as you can, Brandon. Don't just in case you ever go to one of those board meetings and they're like, "Yeah, we don't like that," and then
Yeah, I don't want to have complete control long term. I think it's smart to not be able to be stupid. You know what I mean? So if I want to do something or I'm too attached emotionally to a certain idea or whatever it is, that they could outvote me or at least make me aware that they're not happy in a significant way. So being a dictator, I don't think it's a good idea for any business person.
Good.
But, making it hard for them to overrule me is, I think, smart too. The vision's mine, and I think my investors know that. And at this point, while we're still growing, I'm the best person to do that, to pursue that vision, because I'm the person. It's my baby, right? It's like I'm gonna put the work in that nobody else would. I'm gonna not get paid since March of 2020 and still keep on working.
Did you cut your salary? Did you remove your salary?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Woo.
So the wife's not happy about that, but that's the kind of thing right now. It's important. You have to see and be invested enough in it to pursue it, even when things like this happen, when things like COVID happen.
Does your wife work?
Not right now. Not now. She worked for me a little bit last year. She dipped in, which was helpful and great. But no, she's with the daycare situation, it's so hard to even
totally understand.
Let alone talk about a price. Like
Are you back to paying yourself now?
Not quite yet. Hopefully, the end of the year.
My friend, how are you living? What are you, ramen noodles? How?
No, we're decent. The PP money helped out a lot. I had some of the savings. But for me, the focus was like trying to keep the team together as much as possible. So kind of putting them ahead. And then credit cards are helpful. But not spending a lot of money and trying to be smart about that. But I think it's going to be worth it long term, because the problem's getting more and more acute.
You are determined, and your amount of hustle is really impressive. The fact that you're halfway through this interview and your spirit and energy is great. And I just now found out you haven't been paying yourself and you're still super positive is pretty cool. Well, what about competition? Any chance for any mergers, acquisitions? I don't know. You got a couple of people out there trying to kind of do what you do. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, hopefully another couple of my mentors that I speak with quite a bit are always stay in touch and keep communications open with your competitors. So we do that with several competitors. I won't mention any names, but we keep communications. I'm friendly with most of the CEOs. We talk every month or two. Obviously, don't share trade secrets, etc. But I think it's a smart play because this, it's a huge market, and I think down the road there will be a chance. Someone's going to win. I hope it's us. But that's the cool thing about startups. A lot of if you have a good enough idea and you're solving a real problem, you're probably not going to go bankrupt. The worst case scenario is that you're going to get acquired by one of your competitors, and a private equity company will come in and consolidate the competitors if the space is big enough and if the problem's acute enough. So I think that's kind of where we are. I don't really. No one's doing exactly what we do, and our competitors either. We're not doing exactly what they do. There's enough overlap, I think, in the long term to maybe add some value by combination. But we'll see how that plays out. And again, hopefully, we're the winner. But I know like I said, I know the other CEOs, I know the other founders, and they're smart, they're hardworking, just like me. So we'll see.
Some of them have been on the Riderflex podcast. You probably know that already.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they have, but we don't have to mention names. For the listeners right now, just in case, people are like, okay, TripHero, what is that? Give us the updated 3-minute elevator pitch on TripHero. Go for it.
Yeah. So for customers, for leisure travelers, if you want to skip the baggage claims, skip the lines, and make your trip to your resort as convenient as possible, we will pick up your items directly at your door. The next time you'll see them is in your room at your hotel. So a complete door-to-door service for the customer. For our partners, like a hotel in a resort, we will take over your entire shipping and receiving operations, and we will save you at least $12,000 a year, or we guarantee that money back. So we'll streamline and update with technology your whole shipping and receiving operations.
What about Vegas? What if I want to use TripHero for, I don't know, some other city?
Yeah, we can ship anywhere. Right now we're at about 12 locations where we actually have people on the ground. Okay. But because we're partnered with FedEx, we can ship anywhere FedEx ships. Yeah, but
if I go to Vegas and I want my stuff in my room, how does that happen? There's nobody there with a TripHero shirt on to make sure it gets to my room before I get there.
No, so my favorite would be you ship to Vegas, then you tell them about TripHero, and you tell them to reach out to Brandon Ford on the sales team.
I like that. Okay. Have you, by the way, have you tried to penetrate that city for any action or no?
Las Vegas, no. It's kind of one challenge is they have unions that do the shipping and receiving part of the business.
I see.
Yeah, so that's one of the challenges, and most of them have a robust shipping and receiving operation because they get so many groups and stuff. We think that's definitely down the road, but it's going to be. We're kind of thinking more places like Scottsdale or Palm Desert or any large ski resort, Jackson Hole, Whistler, Kiawah Island, places like that where you have. Not as big. Vegas is on another scale of all this.
Okay. Now these guys that you got, guys and girls you got working for you in these hotels, I'm assuming, that's, an entry level type position. I don't know if that's the right verbiage or not, but these are not management positions. So I'm assuming you're not paying them a ton, which means they fall into that category right now across the country of people having a hard time, businesses having a hard time staying fully staffed with these level of employees. Are you having trouble keeping these people, finding these people, are you running short staffed? What?
So in the resorts, we're pretty lucky. The old term, like people taking a year off to be a ski bum, that's so in the ski resorts and even golf resorts, we find a lot of people like that. And then we actually pay pretty decently. We're paying, we before COVID, we were already paying $20 an hour or more.
Okay.
So we were paying well. And then, the added thing of being a startup and then getting involved in that process. And, at our stage, when we're growing, doubling and tripling every year, you can move up as fast as you want.
I see.
So
I see.
we have some advantages that, a larger company would not have at this period, at this point, because, we have an eager person that's willing to work a lot, willing to learn a lot. They can move up pretty quickly. We have several people that started off as in a hotel, just delivering packages, and within a year they were running a whole market. So
okay, okay, great to know. Great to know.
That's a good advantage that we have. I mean, that won't last forever as we scale, but as we're scaling for the next few years, that will be the case.
What are you doing with some of these issues CEOs are facing right now with trying to mandate things or policies and rules on COVIDs and vaccinations and masks? And I see a lot of companies and CEOs trying to do this dance and figure out what decisions to make. What's TripHero doing?
Yeah, so that again, we're in an advantageous spot on that because kind of basically we're able to piggyback, so to speak, off of our larger partners. So whatever brand we're partnered with, we kind of adopt the same policies.
I see.
To make sure we're serving that, and then we did face mask and gloves and all that stuff for our drivers and delivery drivers. And then we haven't gotten into any of the mandates as far as vaccinations yet. Luckily, everybody on the team decided to do it on their own, and we've been pretty lucky to not to have to encounter.
You haven't had to, and you hadn't had to be faced with 100 employees and 50 of them don't want to be vaccinated and 50 of them do. You haven't had to deal with that yet.
No, not yet, luckily. So that's good. Some good things about being growing and small this time right now. So it would be a tough decision either way. It's I think there's a lot of evidence the vaccines are good. I've actually had my booster already. So
gotcha.
It's like that technology, that mRNA technology. It's a game-changing technology, and it's being an entrepreneur nerd like I am. I actually followed it before COVID, so it could change. It could be game-changing. So I would encourage anybody that's skeptical to read. While it is a new technology, and that it's just received approval by the FDA last year. Just recently, right? It wasn't even a couple. What was it, like a month or two ago? When it was finally, but there's been research going on this for the last 10 years. So it's not like it's just invented a month ago. There's been significant research. So I feel personally comfortable, and I would point anybody to just read up on the mRNA technology and how it could basically really be game changing. It could be big as polio vaccine. It could be bigger than. It could be up there with penicillin. As far as
I'm like you. I've not been faced with internally here at Riderflex. Haven't had to make any of those types of mandates or decisions because we all work remotely. Like we don't have an office. We don't see customers face to face, right? So it's all over Zoom. So I haven't had to deal with that, but I have had several CEO friends call me and just talk it through, and they're trying to make the right decisions. They're trying to figure out, with the best thing to do and how to stay fully employed and how to stay safe. And I just, all of it. So I see a lot of CEOs dealing with that right now. So I haven't had to. I will tell you this. Now, I don't know if this has affected you. I have had this situation as a service business. When we're trying to close new contracts with a client or let's say we're meeting them for dinner, or even earlier on when people weren't meeting for dinner or whatever, but they were starting to ease into dinner and it was a gray area. We were faced with trying to figure out where the client was at before we got to the meeting, so we knew how to behave and what to say. And because we made the mistake early on of not understanding what side of something a prospect might be on, and then either me or my co-founder would say something that didn't fit their philosophy, and we're like, oh shit, okay, never mind. Never mind. What I meant to say was this.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's tough.
I traveled a lot during COVID. Even I was always careful, but I think communication in these tough times is key.
Mm-hmm.
I used to ask people, like, are you comfortable meeting in person or not?
We started doing that. Yep.
Yeah. I started doing that. And, it was, I think it's key just being over communicating, and even being at the point where it's like kind of like could be interpreted as being like slow or, not getting stuff very quickly, but I just play dumb and let them kind of inform me on where
That's what we do. That's what we do. We wait for them to inform us. I think it was summer, I guess, right? I don't know. Maybe it was July or August of 2020. And we had reached a major milestone with a client. We had placed our 100th person with this client, which for us was a big deal. We'd placed 100 people there. So I was trying to celebrate it, and I reached out to the CEO and I was like, hey man, congratulations. We placed 100 person. Would love to come down to Denver and take you to happy hour and celebrate. And yeah, he was super offended that I even asked that question, because he was like, that's totally irresponsible. I can't believe you'd send me a note like that to invite me in person. I was like, oh shit. Okay. I called my co-founder. I'm like, damn. Okay. We got to be more careful with how we communicate, to your point.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. That's I think it's unfortunate people take it. People get angry about it. So it's another thing. In crisis, you don't get emotional either way. Like that. Yeah. So that's.
Yeah. Why? By the way, that's a good time. I wanted to ask you about this. This is actually kind of on my list for you. What are your thoughts on CEOs and executives of companies going on social media and getting emotional or angry or taking a side on some topic? And I'm not just talking about COVID, like whatever the hot button is for the month, I don't know, you name it. There's so many different topics you could pick, right, that people scream at each other about on social media. What are your thoughts on CEOs doing that and taking sides on stuff and blasting it out on on Facebook or Twitter? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it can be good, but it can also be horrible, right? So if the CEO or someone's going on something, basically every month there's a new topic that person's communicating about and having an opinion about. I think that's dangerous, right? First of all, if you understand if any topic is going to be more detailed and more in depth than you can get on Twitter, right? You can understand on Twitter, right? So now a person that has one or two or three topics that they're really well versed in, they really understand, they've really well done the research, they've got the information, then I think it's great, right? Because we need stewards of that, especially with our government not being able to get anything done a lot of times. So I think there's a lot of power in doing things like helping kids in college and training and work training and things like that. If it's their sphere. But now if you're getting on something, you're a CEO of a car company and you're talking about the COVID vaccine and people shouldn't take it because how does the CEO of a car company know anything about medicine, right? So pick your battles is what I would say. If there's something that you're really passionate about and you're really knowledgeable about, I think it's fine and it's actually good. Because
Okay.
no matter what you do, we are a leader. You're a leader. You can't deny that. You're a founder of any company. People are going to look up to you. Your employees look up to you and depend on you for their well-being. So you're a leader by de facto. So,
Mm,
but you know, don't try to be an expert at everything. If there's some
right.
things that you are passionate about, then take it up. But like, I wouldn't be jumping into battles that I don't know anything about.
To that point, I want to pile on there and just say, and don't use the topic of the month as a reason to just post, because you're just trying to get eyeballs on the brand. So every month, whatever the topic is, you're gonna pick your side
Yeah.
and scream about it just to get the marketing hit, which I think there's a lot of that going on. I
Yeah.
really think I think a lot of it is.
That could come back to haunt you really, really quickly.
That's right, because the topics change and social media and whatever you said lasts forever. So if if the hot topic of the month is the color yellow versus the color purple, and you scream that yellow is an awesome color, and then 2 months later it finds out that yellow is a poisonous color, you're going to look pretty dumb.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to being well versed and really educated about something.
Mhm.
And like for instance, with COVID, I would say personally, I'm comfortable because I did quite a bit of research
Mhm.
on the
Mhm.
vaccine, but I wouldn't be, telling other people what they should do because
Mhm.
I'm not a doctor. I'm not the head of the National Institutes of Health or the FDA. So,
Mhm.
pick your battles, and if there's something you're passionate and knowledgeable about, then I think it's good because again, we're leaders, but you can't be knowledgeable about everything either.
What do you do when you have a client that, like a big client or a big investor that's just screaming about something, a topic, like when I say screaming, like you and him are in private or you and her are in private or whatever, and they're just pounding you about, they're just chewing on your ear about whatever it is. And it's something that you don't necessarily personally agree with, but they're a huge client. Or are you just kind of like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I got to go. See ya.
Yeah, no, I think this is where my background and comes in, and it makes it easier for me than most. Like I've been through different social circles and I've seen what's important to
Yeah.
different people, so I don't really judge people on that kind of stuff.
Mm.
But everybody makes mistakes. You can't become great at anything or help anybody unless you're willing to make mistakes. So that's the one thing I do. I am worried about with the culture, the cancel culture, etc., is that people are going to be unwilling to make mistakes. Unwilling to meet new people.
Mm.
And things like that. So like being more forgiving personally is always a good trait, and being less judgmental personally is always a good trait. I hope those traits don't go by way of the past. If that makes sense.
Really good stuff, Brandon. Could not agree more. I've done several podcast episodes on this. We've had several executives on the show say very similar things to what you just mentioned. I don't know how, well, I guess maybe it's the algorithms or whatever from the social media pieces, but we've gotten into this society where everybody's just mad at each other all the time and they can't just have a civil conversation. And I've been saying now for the last 12 months, like, hey guys, it's okay to just talk about something. And if you like yellow and I like purple, that's cool. We can still have a beer together. It's not like we don't have to be enemies. We don't have to hate each other. It's okay.
There's a middle way.
Yeah, gray is okay. That's what I was saying earlier on a podcast with somebody else. I said, the color gray is okay. It don't have to be black or white every time. Like it's all right.
Yeah, and I have no problem saying I don't really have an opinion on something because
right.
Like
Yes.
I'm not gonna form an opinion if I don't know anything about the topic.
That's great point. That's another thing I feel like we've gotten into lately is this world where everybody, when you get on their social media or whatever, they're almost pushed to like pick a side on something. I was like, no, you don't have to, especially if you're not informed on it. By the way, the cancel culture thing, the censorship deal, and cancel culture, however you want to verbalize it, I have to be somewhat conscious of that with a podcast, right? Because I'll bring a guest on. it's crazy. I think it's crazy for me to have to worry about that. I'll bring a guest on and I'll go, okay, hell, if we talk about a certain thing, I don't know, is YouTube going to turn us off, or is Twitter going to turn us off if we talk about this or that? And I can't have just a regular free flowing conversation, and I got to be somewhat careful about it. I worry about that. I have major concerns over the cancel culture of censorship thing. That really scares me personally. I don't mind saying that on the podcast. My wife, or I'll be talking to a friend of mine. I'm like, hey, COVID doesn't scare me. I'll tell you what scares me right now. This censorship cancel culture thing. That's what's scaring me. That's making me super nervous. That people can just get turned off. And I get the whole thing, right? I understand private companies, blah, blah, blah. I've heard the arguments on both sides a million times. And I'm kind of like you, like, I don't know what the right answer is, because I really don't. I just know it scares me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm a little bit.
Again, being open and forgiving and empathetic towards people can't go wrong, right? Like,
right.
And the big problems that we face as a society, as companies, aren't going to get solved without having dialogue.
I totally agree.
And that's what we're lucky as business people, right? Like, we can't just make an opinion without having the data. Our businesses would go under in weeks if we did that. So having that training of like taking in all the, what's going on the ground, really what's happening, what the numbers are behind it, et cetera, being able to do that, I think gives us good training to be able to address some of these issues where a lot of other people don't have that skill.
If you can run a startup and be a successful business and increase revenue and get through COVID, I mean, all these CEOs that made it through COVID, especially in the hospitality service business like you did, I mean, now you got like this extra little badge, like you got this extra little medal on your chest, right? You get like an extra stripe because you got through that.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So we feel very blessed here at Riderflex as well for getting through the whole thing, and now business is great for us. We've been through a lot over the last 18 months, haven't we, my friend?
Oh man, it's a totally different world. But the hope is that we can learn from it, not just as a business, but as a country, as a society, as a world, as a, et cetera, and be better because of it. Like, this viruses aren't going away, right? So, having this experience, if we can learn from it, take it as that. One of the things I think we did it internally as a team, is really focused on our health, and working out and getting in better shape, eating better. That's the biggest thing. I mean, once we look back, I think that's going to be a big factor on the people that were severely affected by COVID.
Agreed.
And so taking it, every problem, again, we're trained as entrepreneurs and founders. Every challenge is an opportunity. So I hope we do that and look back at this as like what the challenges were and how opportunity. The fact that we had the vaccine as fast as we had, amazing. Things like that. So, and I always try to take the good and really highlight the good of what happened. I think there's some things, that we can look back and that were really good on how we, as a society, even responded.
Agreed. Well, my friend, congrats on getting it to where you have it right now. For the listeners, by the way, go TripHero.com. Go TripHero.com. By the way, I like some of the verbiage you got on the website now. I think it's been redone and dressed up a little bit since I looked at it last time. I like some of the little taglines, some of the verbiage and stuff. Looks catchy. I like it.
Nice.
It.
Appreciate it. That's what we were able to do. A lot of that stuff that kind of we were moving too fast to do in the past, and we're able to really get a strategy around the next 3 or 4 years. It's
good. Your website, in my opinion, your website is fun and professional at the same time. Like kind of cool and fun and catchy / professional all at the same time. Not too stuffy, not too crazy, right perfect, right in the middle. I think it makes you want to sign up. I like it. I like what you've done with it. You go TripHero.com. You can also look up Brandon Ford, of course, on LinkedIn if you want to. Brandon J. Ford on LinkedIn. And you can go back and listen to our first interview on the Riderflex podcast and learn more about how he overcame several hurdles when he was younger and growing up and going through school. Is your core purpose still a life without baggage claim?
A world without baggage claim. Yep.
I remember you said that. Life without baggage claim. Hey, I hate baggage claim. Well, first of all, I don't really like flying, period, but I sure as hell don't like standing in line to check my bags or waiting to get my bags. I love what you're doing. I think it could be way beyond tourist spots and ski resorts,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, I think, that's our goal is, like you said with the website, it's fun and professional. That's how your trip should be, right? It should be fun, but smooth and organized and professional. And that's kind of what we're trying to portray in the website. So I'm glad you were able to recognize that. And, we don't think in 10 years that you'll be schlepping your stuff. And we could go into, the new planes, the smaller planes that they're coming out that are electric and all that, and hyperloops, and you're not gonna be able to take bags on any of that, right? So having a way for you to get your stuff ahead or with you in a quick way, efficient, saving energy, all that kind of stuff. I think we're at a good spot and we're on the right side of a lot of trends, and just more efficiency is going to be the credo for, as we, battle climate change, et cetera. I think it's all, we can do it. It's just a matter of, doing your little mark. And I think TripHero is going to be able to do that.
I agree. We're going to look back. I think we'll look back. Your daughter, I think you said this actually on the first interview. Your daughter, matter of fact, you brought this up. Your daughter will probably be watching TV. Like she'll be watching an old movie and she'll be like, what are those carousel things with those bags in them? Like, what the hell is that? Like people actually like went to the airport with their bags. That's dumb. Why were we doing that?
That's the goal. Yeah. That's where it came from. One of my first investors and good friends was like, Brandon, in 10 years when my daughter's watching Home Alone for the first time, and she sees people that they find out, remember they lost Kevin at the baggage claim.
Right.
Be like, Daddy, why would anybody take their bag on a plane?
It's true. That's probably where we're headed. Thank you, my friend. I appreciate you being on the show.
My pleasure, and great to talk to you. And thanks for having me again.